10 o'clock in the morning on the 30th of December. The moon's at 29.5 degrees of Aries. I wasn't going to do a video till 11 o'clock, and I may do another one at that time, simply because that's when the moon changes sign. But it's a void moon in the very last degree of Aries. I'm in my office and I'm finalising the forecast for 2014. I've been hard at it for a few hours, and I'm getting a big picture of what's going on coming up over the coming 12 months. And I've been a little bit affected by developments in my hometown in the last 48 hours, where there's been a particularly savage murder. One of the homeless people has died in a place quite close to where I live and where I work. So it's I didn't know the person, obviously, but it kind of has an effect when you live in a fairly small place. And it's got me thinking about the Saturn-Neptune square that's coming up over the coming 12 months. And one of the areas I haven't looked at, I've been focusing all the time on how Saturn-Neptune is going to dissolve things around religion and a lot of the belief systems that we've lived with. But it's also going to have a serious look at the way we use and abuse things like alcohol, prescriptive medicines, drugs, and food additives, and particularly drugs, because of in the light of what I've seen in my city, in my town in the last few days. Drugs can be basically split into three groups. There's the things that grow out the ground that aren't addictive, and they've been used for tens of thousands of years. There's, regardless of whether they're just soporific or hallucinogenic. There's the drugs that are refined from plants into addictive substances, and they're obviously bad news. And then there's the drugs which have no base in nature, which are purely chemical and synthesis, and these are the ones that kill every single time. And unfortunately, there's far too much of it on our streets. And it's getting endemic, even in a rich city such as Bath, where I live, where you'd think there wouldn't be any, but there's lots. Most people close their eyes to it. Inevitably, it's not just drugs, of course, but alcohol. And the pressure on governments by the alcohol companies, who of course pay massive amounts of tax to these governments, to keep the hard sell going, and to use alcohol, and to a lesser extent drugs, as a soporific to dumb down the people, is inevitable. And as successively weak governments kowtow to the alcohol and pharmaceutical industry and the processed food industry, then one of two things will happen. Either the continual dumbing down of society will continue in a way that's going to leave a lot of people feeling really numb, and what's the point of being alive if you're going to end up being like that? Or if governments won't take action against these pollutants, the tobacco companies, the drug companies, the alcohol, the processed food people, the massive conglomerates, if you like. Governments won't take action, but I suspect that what's actually going to happen is that, partly as a result of the development of the internet in the last 15 years, human consciousness, human intelligence is going to become more of a significant factor here, and that people will take action with their money by not buying crap. More and more of my clients, more and more of the people I know and interact with, and this could just be the circles I move in, but actually I don't think so. More and more people across the board now are taking responsibility primarily for what they eat, for what they put into their body in all shapes and forms. And the cleaner you are what you eat, it's an old saying, but that's just the start of it. It's also about taking responsibility for your health, not only in terms of nutrition, but in terms of well-being, exercise, self-discipline. And, if the public refuse to buy all of this sort of dumbed-down mechanism stuff, and instead concentrate on themselves and improving the quality of their life through their own direct experience with divinity, instead of the media-driven, processed pap that comes our way most of the time, then public consciousness public intelligence will elevate, escalate even, in a way that's not happened before. What then? What then? Well, then we lose the need for controlling governmental organisations, and instead we have a much more consensual and potentially individually representative voice in what goes on. It'll be by consensus, perhaps. This is sky-eyed, pie in the sky, this is dreaming, but Neptune's in Pisces. Saturn's in Sagittarius now is going to transform and restructure our philosophies and beliefs. And the way we dream the future in the next couple of years is going to set the pattern for the long term. So I don't want to live like we've lived so far anymore. It's time for a new beginning, and the old structures are crumbling. Time to start dreaming in some new philosophies. Catch you possibly in an hour, if not later. Bye.